Welcome back, everybody. As promised, my first crazy story. I'll just get right into it. I was probably a freshman in high school, and my buddy Steve was like a sophomore in high school. So I ran into him at school, and he was like, "Hey, dude, after school, come to my house. I got this little chunk of hash, and we'll smoke it." I was like, "Cool, dude. Like, I'm all about it." So after school, I meet Steve at his house. He lived across the highway from me, so I had to walk over to his house. It wasn't far. So I get over to Steve's house, and behind Steve's house was like this big field that just had like some high, tall grass in it. He said, "Let's just go back there and smoke it." And I was like, "Okay." But prior to this somewhere, Steve had dug this big hole, like in the middle of this field. And it was just weird, but it was like, I don't know, like 3 feet deep and maybe like 5 feet across. It was like a big hole. He's like, "Yeah, dude, check it out. Like, we could sit in this hole and like nobody can see us because the weeds were like above our head when you sat in this hole." So that was kind of weird. I was like, "Okay, cool." So we're sitting there and we're smoking this hash and we're just getting smashed. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever messed with this stuff, but hash is like weed times 5. Like, it's just real heavier and just, it's pretty intense. So we're smoking this and we're super high. And so we're like, "Man, I'm super high." So he's fixing his little bowl or whatever, and he's cleaning it or whatever. He flips it over. There's still like a whole nother level of hash on that side. And we were like, "Wow." So of course, we were like, we just went for it all in, smoked the whole thing. Just super high. So we're making our way back to Steve's house. And of course we're broke. We never have any money for nothing. There was a Pizza King right on the highway. And I don't know if you ever had Pizza King, but man, they've got like a royal feast. And like, we were just like, man, if we had some money, we would go get a royal feast, and a beef boat, and a sub, and Cokes. And, we were just thinking, man, that would be so awesome. But of course we were broke. So we get to Steve's house, and I don't know who thought of this. I don't know. Well, let me first say, 2 days prior to this smoke out, Mr. Pugsley, the beloved junior high school principal, had passed away. Mr. Pugsley had been there for years and years and years. Like, our parents knew Mr. Pugsley. Like, everybody knew who Mr. Pugsley was. Beloved in the community. Unfortunately, he had passed away. And here's a little offshoot story. Mr. Pugsley was a big dude, but one thing that was unique about him, like, he had a bad arm. Like, his right arm just didn't do anything. It just kind of hung there. So like, when he'd shake your hand or pat you, he would do it with his good hand. But the story was, like, if you ever had to get a whack or paddle for Mr. Pugsley, it was no joke. Now, some of y'all probably don't remember this or know this, but back in the day, you would get paddled. Like, if you got in trouble, they would take a board and bend you over and tan your hide. Like, it hurt. It was no joke. I got a couple, and it hurts. Like, it's not cool. But the story was, Mr. Pugsley, like, if you got in trouble in middle school, and had to get whacked, Mr. Pugsley would take that paddle, put it in his right hand, and get some kind of mojo going, and bam! And they said it was like next level. They said, you do not want that smoke. Like, if you got whacked by Mr. Pugsley, you knew you weren't going to be sitting down for a couple hours. But anyway, he was a good dude. But he had passed away. So we're at Steve's house. We're super high, super hungry. We don't have no money. And I'm not sure whose idea this was. I don't know. But there was an empty Folgers coffee can. It's about yay big, round, about this, wide. You probably know what I'm talking about. Big can. So we went and got a piece of paper and taped it onto this coffee can. And we decided we were going to collect money for Mr. Pugsley's, remembrance or whatever. So we get the piece of paper, we tape it on there, and we write, in memory of Mr. Pugsley. So Steve lives, like, I'd say 4 blocks or 4 streets from the Pizza King. So of course we skipped Steve Street, but then the very next street, here's me and Steve, glassy-eyed, long hair, and Steve, I don't know what year this was, probably 78 or 7, something like that. Steve had those like tinted. He had the big glasses that were cool today that were tinted red, like they were prescription, but they would tint. So he looked like, we just looked a hot mess stoner fest. So we go walk up to the first door, like, okay, dude, we're going to go for it. As you probably know, Mr. Pugsley passed away, and we were just going to collect some money for a little memorial for him. Man, the very first house, she was like, hold on, just 1 second, guys. And I thought, man, she's either calling the cops or we might get a couple bucks. She comes back with like some money, puts it in the cans, like, hey, you know, that's really nice, you guys. We're like, okay. She shuts the door, and we're just like, dude, this might work. Off we go, door to door, collecting money for Mr. Pugsley. And you know, some people was like, nah, slammed the door in our face. Some people weren't home, but you know, we were making our way to the Pizza King. And we were doing good. Like, people are giving us fives and change and ones. And so we get to the last house that we were going to stop at. Like, the house is here, there's the road, and the Pizza King is right here, like right across the street. Knock on the door, yeah, hey, blah, blah. They give us some money. So we proceed to walk right from this house, right across the street, tearing the thing off the Folgers can into the Pizza King. This has to be a felony. Like, this can't be right. I mean, morally, it's horrible and, you know, not cool. But we were super high and super hungry and super broke. Not a good combination. So we go to the Pizza King, set our Folgers can down there and start counting out our money. We had, I think, close to 50 bucks, over 50 bucks. And the chick was like, okay. We want a royal feast, we want a beef boat, we want a submarine, we want 2 pitchers of Coke. And around the corner we went to sit while they were cooking it. We sat in the very back by the jukebox. Of course, we had a ton of change. And oddly enough, the one thing I remember clearly about the jukebox was I played David Bowie's TVC-15 like 6 times. And we played Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy like 100 times. Like, it was just, I just remember that specifically. So she brings us this feast, man. And like, again, if those of you who may not know, like when you're high, you can get the munchies. And this was nirvana. Like, we were just like, what? Like, our dreams came true. We had this feast in front of us. We were just chowing down, drinking Coke, eating subs. Just living the life, you know. So that's kind of that story, but on the tail end of that, a dude came in. This other kid that we went to school with, we didn't know him very well. He was like a jock, and he was a year older than Steve, so he's probably like a junior, maybe senior in high school. Great big dude, wrestler, football player. And, you know, he was an okay dude. We didn't really know him, but somehow, and this was my idea. Like, in high school, like, I was like 135 pounds, believe it or not. I was skinny, scrawny, like, just a little dude. I said, hey, Steve. I said, let's have a contest. And, you know, Chuck came in to get a to-go order or whatever. That's the dude's name. I don't know if I said that, but he came in, sat down, and I was like, man, I said, Steve, let's have a contest to see who could say Chuck's a pussy the loudest. And he was like, dude, no, dude. And I was like, yeah, man, it'll be fun. Let's do it. He's like, no. And I said, look, I'll go first. So we proceed to have this contest. And we started out as like, you know, but towards the end, we kind of were saying it kind of loud. We were just dying laughing, just crying laughing. I mean, just totally ignoring the fact that we could have got pummeled. You know, like, what'd you say, dude? But, you know, Chuck got his stuff and booked, and so we were there, and we were just stuffed and full. And, you know, never really thinking of the consequences of somebody saying, yeah, I saw those dudes collect money for Mr. Pugsley and go right across the street to Pizza King. They look high AF. Like, shady, dude. But that's the story. You know, we did it. It was, you know, it was wrong, but, you know, it's a kind of a funny story. But this story is kind of in the vein of where I'm going with a lot of stories, similar to this stuff. Some of it's more intense, some of it's lighter. But that's my first story. That's this time that Steve and I, you know, fraudulently collected money and had a pizza feast. So, anyway, if you like the story, comment down below, say something about the story, do the share and like, and What's the other thing? Follow me or whatever it's called. It's not following, that's Twitter. It's subscribe. Yeah. Like, share, and subscribe. Do all that stuff. Comment. I want to see people saying stuff about this. So that's it. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your time. In the meantime, never drive faster than your angels can fly. I'm out.